Bermuda, Bahama, come on, pretty mama. Here I go, mighty up, do
I never know the words.
Take you faster, then we'll take it slow. That's where we wanna go. Welcome.
Kokomo.
Welcome to the Tour Junkies podcast for the Bermuda Championship. That's what that joke was all about. That song there was all about Bermuda. I'm wearing my floral hat tonight, trying to get into island vibes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're in Bermuda for the Bermuda Championship, the only event on the PGA Tour this week, as the WGC HSBC with a lot of C's has been canceled. So here we go. We're doing a podcast for the Bermuda. I mean, just when you thought 2020 was crazy enough, we're doing a podcast only for the Bermuda Championship. Freaking love it.
It's amazing.
I went to Bermuda one time, and I remember him telling me.
You did not go to Bermuda.
Yeah, I have. I've been to Bermuda. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Were you worried about the triangle when you were on the way? Like, did you read about it?
Nah, man, I don't worry about that stuff. I let my nuts hang, baby. I'm not scared of that stuff. But I do remember I was on a ferry ride, and one of the gentlemen, tour guide said, in Bermuda, we have two speeds, slow and stop. They're not in a hurry to do much of anything. But that's a great time. Good island vibe. Here we are, the PGA Tour. We're going to have fans at this one. We'll get into that. It's going to be a good show tonight. I'm your host, David Barnett. I got Pat Perry with me. Pat, the podcast juice tonight is this lovely near-frozen bottle of Wild Leap vodka. Muchas gracias to Wild Leap for that. I'm not just drinking out of the bottle, but I mean, I have a cocktail here. But.
Yeah, no, I have some Wild Leap myself. The last sip of Wild Leap, I believe that I had was what's now really, you could call it a viral video on Instagram. I mean,
Pat's going viral.
I mean,
over a million views.
Yeah.
Over a million views on Instagram. Pat's steady vibing video that he did.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
You know what was funny about the comments that we received on that video? How many people asked if I was on a Zamboni? Like, I guess because of the way the golf cart was moving.
That's a really dumb question.
I was like no, we're on a golf course. Obviously it's a golf cart.
Those people are idiots.
Anyway,
if you are listening to this or watching live on YouTube and you ask that, stop listening, stop watching. We want to lose you as a fan. We just do. That's
not that we have anything against Zambonis or hockey. Has nothing to do with that.
But that's just a totally stupid thing to ask. It's clearly on a golf course. Anyway, I'm a little hot under the collar tonight. I've got the final segment of tonight, if I can wait that long, is going to be a segment we like to call the putter throw, where one or both of us just go off on something. And I'll go ahead and say it. I'll go ahead and prep the people so they can know when to check out. I am going to go off on Bryson and his latest antics. So
Shocker.
Many people have been around for this before. I have to keep doing it. It makes me feel good, and it's partially my show, so I'm going to do it. And if you don't like it, you can cut it off.
I've personally heard a lot of this rant, I believe, and you will not be hearing a lot of my voice during that whole segment because DB is really worked up about this. But I'll be there for you. I'll be sitting here. I may not be listening to the whole thing, but I'll be sitting here.
Yeah, you won't. It's going to be a good show tonight, though. We've got some fun stuff going on. I want to do something fun for Masters, and I haven't even told you about this, Pat, but I want to do something fun for Masters that I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. So if you're getting ready for Masters week like we are, which is only 2 weeks away, get ready for that. Patrick Cantlay wins the Zozo. Long shot season takes a hit as Patrick Cantlay, a shorter odds player, pulls it through. I had Lanto Griffin, I had Sebastian Munoz, you had Russell Henley. None of them could keep up with JT Rahm and Patrick Cantlay. Is what it is. The guy went out and did his thing. plays well on Nicklaus courses, grew up California guy. Makes a lot of sense. It ended up being a total birdie fest. Like we said, 24 under, I think is where he finished. Good tournament, fun tournament to watch. Sherwood was interesting. Not sure I loved it as much as I did Shadow Creek the week before, but anyway, long shot season takes a hit, but we're back on the train this week and next week. For next week is the Vivint Houston Open, and I think long shot season continues this week and next, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
And more to come on long shot season, by the way. We're more to come on that. Me and Pat, I think, Pat, we should also apologize to the people for last week. We, at the very last minute, decided we could not do a podcast last week. It's probably, Pat, is that I don't know that I could think of one of a podcast we have not done during a tournament week in the last 5 years. Maybe Marcus Miklovich, who's been following since day one, could tell us. But I've missed one, or I've missed a handful. You've missed a handful, but the other person's always filled in. I don't know that I remember ever skipping one altogether.
Well, I can't remember.
Which is like, that's like 40-something events a year, 5 years. The math checks out. That's like 240 events.
I feel like we have taken a week off before, but
maybe we have. Yeah. We had to do it last week, y'all, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. You're going to see more of it, and we really ask you to support it. We went down to PGA Tour Entertainment headquarters on Monday and Tuesday and shot some footage for a new series that Scratch is doing. Scratch, SKRATCH, the kind of golf-adjacent brand of the PGA Tour. It's our second time doing some stuff with Scratch. We were down there this time last year doing some like DFS 101 stuff for them. You can check out on their YouTube channel. It's pretty funny. We enjoyed it. But Monday, we literally shot content from 8:30 in the morning until 6:30 that evening with about a 15-minute lunch break.
Which we were
exhausted.
Yeah, exhausted. Like it was a full day. You wouldn't, even if we had the podcast, it would have been just a lot of rambling, and like we wouldn't have had time to do enough research. It wouldn't have been a good product anyway. It would have been something.
We had no time for that. Yeah. Couldn't do it. Sorry to do it to you last minute. We did put out, a couple articles, but last week was crazy. And then we had to go back to our real jobs on Wednesday and catch up. So it was crazy. Now, please,
the Nut Hut chat was actually pretty lit though on Wednesday night. It was fun. Me and Ben were in there.
It was a good time.
Tipsy. Yeah, it was good.
I was in there Thursday morning, and it was busy. It was shockingly busy for a no-cut Zozo. But, apologize for missing it last week. It doesn't happen often. We just could not pull it together. I will say, if you are on YouTube or first of all, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube, but go and check out Scratch when the videos launch. There's going to be 6 videos, and they're all going to be around betting. Intro to betting, kind of betting, maybe a little bit intermediate betting. All of our listeners, it'll probably be kind of elementary for you, but support it anyway. So you'll see it on Scratch's Instagram channel. We'll be pumping it on our Instagram and Twitter channels. It'll all be directed to Scratch's YouTube feed, and thumbs up and great comments about how awesome the Tour Junkies are would definitely help us out. We would appreciate it. It would be very nice of you to do. It's a good free way you can give some love back to DB and Pat. We had a great time doing it, and it was very funny. Pat, in the 2 days, there were multiple times where I was crying laughing. I could not. Y'all, I can't explain to you how far Pat has come in 5 years to doing things on camera. I feel like I've maybe improved as well, but I didn't have as long to go because it's just my personality. Like, this doesn't bother me. It never has. Like, Pat was very uncomfortable when we first started Tour Junkies doing anything on camera. And I'm not talking about like in the Scratch studio on a massive green screen with producers and lights and multi-$1,000 cameras. I'm talking about in front of a webcam on some shoddy internet show that no one was watching 5 years ago. Pat was horribly physically, visibly uncomfortable. And to see how far he's come is quite remarkable. And I'm very proud of him for that. And but he still provides many moments of comedic relief.
Yeah. One moment we had to kick you out of the whole studio.
I got kicked out of the studio for laughing. I couldn't hold the laughter long enough for him to get the lines out and get the shot done. So the producer asked me to leave. I go to the bathroom. I'm walking back down the hall, and the associate producer's walking out of the room. And I go, "Are we done? Did you get it?" And he goes, "No, I got kicked out too." So he got kicked out. It was literally Pat and the producer trying to knock it out. Hopefully you get to see some of that. But yeah, it's very funny. Also, the producer noticed, this is funny for our regular YouTube watchers. The producer noticed very quickly that Pat constantly does this with his sleeves. If you're not watching, like constantly pulls his sleeves up. Constantly.
It's actually more like I just did it, but that was because you were talking about it. But it's more with golf.
No, you did it before that. Check the tape. You did it right.
Did I do it with my T-shirt? Oh,
yep,
I thought it was more of a golf shirt thing.
Nope, false, fake news.
Okay. Yeah, fake news, I guess.
The producer was like, "Dude, you got to put your sleeves down." And so then it became a funny joke that like every time Pat would do it, I would reach over and just pull his sleeve down.
Or the producer would walk over and go, just pull my shirt down.
Oh man. Anyway, good times. It was a lot of fun. Okay, are we ready? We want to get into this?
Yeah, let's go.
Talk to us about Port Royal Golf Club in Bermuda.
The famous Port Royal Golf Club. Robert Trent Jones originally designed this course. It is a par 71, playing just over 6,800 yards. This isn't a big track at all. I mean, this is like a track normal people play on for the most part. But we're back to a full field event. We've got 132 players this week. You've got Bermuda grass, tee to green. Bermuda grass.
Yep, makes sense.
Pretty cool. Makes sense. I do think this, like last year, Brendan Todd is, by the way, he's the inaugural champion. This is the first time they've played this event. They've played other events here on this course, but this is the first time they played an actual tour event. But he was at 24 under. This was a birdie bonanza last year. You've got 3 extremely easy par 5s. I'm talking about birdie
bonanza.
I mean, these par 5s are basically par 4s for these guys. So you've got to score on them. And there are definitely some attackable par 4s as well. Last year, this course ranked 28th of the 41 as far as most difficult courses. There's a lot of elevation out here on this course. Wind is really going to be the biggest factor in scoring. And especially this week, it looks like Friday we're going to see a good amount of wind. So I think that's important. Now, the first 6 or 7 holes are inland and not out in the wind. So those are actually the most scoreable holes. So I don't think the wind is going to be as much of a factor there. But then once they get past 7, they get out onto the coast, and it could create some challenging conditions as far as the wind's concerned. Looks like we're getting a lot of rain early in the week here, so I think the course is going to play pretty soft. But outside the wind, I do think that this is going to be one of those courses, just like we saw last year, where there's a ton of birdies. And like you said, long shot season. I mean, I think this is definitely a week to take a lot of risk with guys on this course, because almost anybody, when you get a 6,800 yard course, almost everybody in the field really is in play. Because they're all, like, if you're a bomber, you're still having to back off sometimes off the tee. They're all kind of hitting their approach shots from the same areas. So it really brings a lot of players into play this week. The stats I like, looking at form, looking at ball striking, strokes gained approach as always, and looking at that putting on Bermuda stat, maybe going out 50 to 100 rounds, just getting a good idea of where these guys are putting as far as Bermuda is concerned. So there you go, DB. That's the course breakdown for Port Royal Golf Club, Bermuda Championship. Any thoughts from you?
Yep, wind is a big factor, like you said. Couldn't agree more on the type of player anybody can win here being that short for sure. I think the over-under on winning score is like 17.5 under-ish is the number. So you can look for another winning score in the high teens. If we only really have a little bit of wind, it could be even better than that. So heads up there. I went back and I looked last year, just a couple things that you didn't hit on. There were 49 eagles last year. That's a lot of eagles. So you got to score. You got to have guys making.
And that's what I'm saying.
Par 5s.
I didn't mention the eagles, but again, the par 5s are like par 4s. I mean, they are not long at all.
And then I just wanted to see like who went super low last year. So last year, Brendan Todd obviously won. He shot around a 62 to win it and snatched the 100-1 Harry Higgs outright bet that I had. Snatched it from my clutches on Sunday. Scotty Scheffler also shot a 62 here last year. Now, Scotty's not playing, but just that's a perfect example. The two guys that set the course record last year, Brendan Todd, who can't hit it out of his own shadow, but just putts the eyes out of it and doesn't miss fairways, shot a 62. Scotty Scheffler bombs it, aggressive, par 5, just dominates par 5. He shot a 62. You had 3 players shoot a 63. Brendan Todd also shot a 63. Your buddy, doppelganger, our friend, been on the podcast, great head of hair, Hank Lebioda shot a 63. And Wes Roach, who is also a bomber, long hitter off the Korn Ferry Tour, shot a 63. Your next best score, 64, Bo Hogue, Josh Teeter, Russell Knox, and Rob Oppenheim. None of those guys. I think Bo hits it okay, but none of those guys long hitters. So definitely, it's definitely a fairway and in kind of spot. Get hot with the putter. I'm looking at accuracy off the tee. I'm looking at greens and regulation. Strokes gained approach is number 1. Putting on Bermuda. And I just want guys who are, I think known to be good wedge players, because you're going to have a ton of wedges. 125 and in is going to be all week long here.
Are you going to look at proximity 125 and in?
You know what? I might. What if I do? What are you going to do if I do?
I'll agree with you. That's what I'll do.
I don't really care much about strokes gained around the green. I mean, to me, in a birdie fest like this, I don't need my guys worry about. I need my guys hitting greens. If I got guys scrambling to get up and down for par, it's probably not working out. So
yeah, that's not going to work.
I didn't really look into that. And then just overall, you just want guys who hit it on the screws and make some putts, and are coming in decent form, ready to go low in a birdie fest. All the stats presented to you by our friends at Fantasy National. Go to fantasynational.com/TJ, fantasynational.com/TJ, or you can enter promo code Tour Junkies when you sign up and they ask you how you heard about them. Your boys at the Tour Junkies told you. It's where we get all our stats, all our information, ownership projections, lineup optimizers, projections, all you want for Korn Ferry Tour and PGA Tour. They actually just added, I think they just got new data backdating to 2004 from the PGA Tour now. They're getting all their information from the Tour and CDW, so it is certified, real news, not fake news. So it's good stuff. Sign up. You get 20% off any subscription, weekly, monthly, or annually at fantasynational.com/TJ. Before we get into the picks, Pat, I want to do something for Masters. This isn't a contest, although I think we will have a contest. I want our Masters show to have a little more listener engagement, and maybe we do 2 Masters shows. Maybe we do a sports book and a DFS show. We haven't used the TJ hotline in a long time.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. I want to bring back. And here's the thing: every time we offer up a TJ hotline thing, there's usually only a few of you that get in there and do that. We need you guys to come through here. If you're a loyal, faithful listener, get you a pen right now, or pull your phone out and get ready to type this number. Save it in your phone. TJ hotline. Okay. It's a free call. What call is not free nowadays anyway? 706.
Free call.
706-6-ADDICT is the number. ADDICT. That's 706-623-3428. 706-623-3428. Call and leave us a voicemail. Ask us anything you want about the Masters, about Augusta, about the tournament, if it's DFS, if it's golf betting, if it's a take on Bryson playing Augusta, if it's me caddying at Augusta, if it's Pat playing Augusta, if it's me playing Augusta, if it's growing up in Augusta, if it's going to the Masters every year. Doesn't matter what it is. Something about Augusta, something about the Masters. Call the hotline. Let's get you on the show. And we're going to take some calls. And if we get enough of them, we can do some for the betting preview and some for the DFS preview. So do it. 706-623-3428. I think that'd be really cool. I'll put the number in the chat on YouTube too. Well, Pat, with that, let's get into the picks. Let's break it down. 9K and above on DraftKings, 3 tournament plays, a cash play, and a fade. I got to be honest. I was researching this today. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I'm gonna use more bankroll this week than I have the last 2 with no cut, short field events. I'm excited for the full field. T65 and ties making the cut. Getting 6 of 6 in a lineup on DFS presents an edge. And of course, I'm excited about the old long shot season potentially making a return. I'm pumped about that too. So
yeah,
I'll let you start, buddy. I usually start this, but
yeah,
3
I'll
tournament
start.
plays, a cash play, and a fade.
So here's the deal. I have nobody over 10K here. I'm not saying that I'm fading them. As a matter of fact, my favorite guy over there would probably be actually Doc Redman. But I just don't have a lot of strong conviction about any of these guys to want to play them. And I am going to mostly fade this range. So my first play that I will start with is actually Denny McCarthy at 9,500. I like him a lot this week. You look at the stats, checks the box of ball striking, approach, driving accuracies, top 15 in the field. He's number 1 in the field in strokes gained putting on Bermuda grass. So I think McCarthy definitely, this could be a great week for him. And he's been kind of, he knocked on the door a little bit at Sanderson Farms. He's been in pretty good recent form. So I like him at 9,500. Next guy, I will go with some Henrik Stinson at 9,300. I think he's a guy that,
wow.
Look, I know he missed the cut at the Sanderson Farms, but had a T21 in where was Punta Cana? Was that Mexico? Corrales. Yeah.
Hudson Swafford week, baby.
Yeah, that was a good week for us, man. That was a great week for us. Anyway, but if you look at the stats, another guy, again, 22nd ball striking, 4th in approach, 5th fairways gained, 5th in greens in regulation. Both stats I know you mentioned that you like. Now, his putting on Bermuda is not that great, but I think he could have a good week from Stinson. I mean, let's not forget that he's still a really good player. I think in a field like this, he could definitely – I don't think the ownership's going to be that high for him either. So I like Stinson at 9,300. And then dropping down to the bottom of this range, Peter Malnati at 9,000. I like him as well.
Wow. Checks
the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained when you're looking at, those chances for birdies. He's also 2nd in the field, right behind Mr. McCarthy in putting on Bermuda. And Peter Malnati, I don't know why that's a hard name for me to say. He's been in good form too. You look at his last 2 finishes, a 5th at the Shriners and a 2nd at the Shriners at the Sanderson Farms. So those are my 3 GPP plays. My cash is going to be Denny McCarthy, and my fade is going to be Brendan Todd all the way at the very top. Wow. Your champion from last year. Look, I mean, I don't want to pay that price for him. His form hadn't been great, and he didn't play well at the Zozo, didn't play well at the CJ Cup. Just not a big fan of old Todd this week. And I like him in general. I mean, I like him as a person. But I will fade that.
Great interview. Shockingly good interview.
He was a very good interview.
Can I just tell you, for guys like Brendan Todd, I've never confessed this before. When we get a guy on the podcast teed up for an interview, and they're a guy like Brendan Todd, and they're like kind of low key, kind of like a guy that, doesn't really demonstrate a lot of personality on the course. You don't really see a lot about him off the course, and they hit it really short. Like guys that hit it really short and just fairways and greens, I feel like they're going to be boring because they hit it short. Is that racist of me?
I don't understand why you would be so.
Should I be canceled? Is that racist?
I think you need to be canceled for that. No,
I think I'm judging his short knockerness and translating his boring AF style of golf of just hit fairways, hit greens.
It's prejudiced. That's what it is.
Yeah. And then I'm just translating that to this is going to be a terrible interview. But you know what? Brendan Todd is probably one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. He was hilarious. Very nice.
Yeah.
Great interview.
Who was one of the worst that we've done? Brooks Koepka.
Yeah. How about that? One of the worst, easily one of the worst.
Now, I think he would be better now than he was when we did it back then in the freaking church.
I think it would be marginal.
Wherever we were. Yeah.
I think it would be marginally better.
Maybe so.
But dang, you're right, man. Man, I am racist against.
Let me mention this about
short knockers.
About Brendan Todd, though. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, if you look at his last 24 rounds, I mean, the things that you want somebody to do well in this course, other than driving accuracy, he does check the box there. He's 4th in the field. But he's 90th in opportunities gained, 67th on approach, 87th in ball striking. Greens and regulation, he's 107th in the field. He does putt extremely well in Bermuda. So I don't know. I'm not feeling Todd this week. So
what's a really clever listener needs to, what's the term for what I just described? Like when you prejudge a short hitting golfer to be a boring human, what is that called?
I think you got to come up with a term for that. That's
what I mean.
Golf, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Anyway, great interview. If you've not checked that out, you need to listen to that. I'll give you a quick fun tidbit on that. He told a story about Brian Harmon, because they both played golf at Georgia together. He told a story about Brian Harmon and how he got the nickname Cockbite. Yes, Cockbite is Brian Harmon's nickname. Well, Pat, this is interesting.
And I'll tell you what, DB, the wild leap is going down really good tonight. Really good. So you go ahead with your picks. I'm gonna remake a drink here.
Okay. This is interesting. All right, let's start at the top. My fade that I had written down here is Brendan Todd. And here's the thing, like I look at the finishes, you talk about his form, not that great. Well, I don't know. I mean, he's playing in great tournaments, strong fields.
No cut either, I guess.
No cut, some of the best players in the world. Like I think the form is, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I don't know what it would take for me to play Brendan Todd as the highest price guy. I don't know like what that would entail, but to play Brendan Todd as the highest price guy, I don't think I would ever do. I just, in terms of DFS, I would never do it. So I can't do that. I can't justify it. I don't care if he's low owned. I just don't care. The odds, the implied odds of him finishing T5 or better, T10 or better, are very marginal compared to some people just below him. And I just can't do it. It's not like DJ's playing in this field. So just can't do it. I think we need to talk about Willie Z. Willie Z, I don't mind playing. He does have, I mean, basically if he makes the cut this week, he gets a special temporary exemption on the PGA Tour. He kind of takes it up a notch in terms of status on the tour. All he has to do is make the cut. I think he will 100%, 99% make the cut. So we'll see what his ownership shakes out to be. We'll talk through that in the Nut Hut, I'm sure. My cash play, Pat, is also your cash play, Mr. Denny McCarthy. Couldn't agree more with Denny. I won't belabor the point there. I think he's a very solid pick for that price range. The cut, the likelihood of him making a cut and the upside for Denny, I think is very, very good. I'm a little surprised that you are willing to pay $9,000 for Peter Malnati. I'm a little perplexed by that.
I mean, there's going to be guys in this field that you're going to have to kind of like think it to yourself, do I want to pay that price for him? Because it's such a weak field. So yeah, I mean, I'm okay with playing that. I mean, looking at the form, the stats match up to the form, the putting matches up. I can stomach it. I mean, I see what you're saying. I mean, I get it. I mean, it's Peter Malnati. I mean, geez. But here we are at the Bermuda Championship having to make a decision. I like him as a GPP play. And hopefully not everybody plays him and his ownership's low, because I don't think he's going to have high ownership.
Well, more shocking than you being willing to play him at $9,000 is the fact that I also am willing to play him at $9,000 and wrote him down as a GPP play at $9,000. I hope that is not indicative of other talking heads wanting to play him. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's going to be more popular than we think if both of us ended up being on him without talking about this. That bothers me a little bit, but I like him for all the reasons you mentioned as well. Now, my other two tournament plays, I'm going up to, and I am going to go above 10K, and it's going to be Doc Redman at 10-4. Doc Redman has incredible, upside here, winning upside here, checks all the boxes that you need him to check. He just needs to make some putts. That's all he needs to do. The form is there. But Bermuda is actually a surface where he doesn't lose strokes, which is promising for Doc. So yeah, I think the upside for Doc at 10-4, I love it. And then I'm going to go with Emiliano Grillo. And Emiliano Grillo scares me because he cannot putt. But the ball striking, I think about, if the wind does play a factor here, I love the ball striking ability of Grillo. He hits a lot of greens. I mean, he's third in this field in greens and regulation gained and strokes gained approach. Now, fun fact, if you do look at proximity, Pat, from 100 to 125 yards, Emiliano Grillo is number 1 in this field. He can't putt, but he can't putt no matter what surface he's on. He can't putt. The form is there. I just feel like it's a really safe play where if he putts okay, there's tremendous upside. If the wind kicks up, I feel like I'm good whether the wind plays a big factor or it doesn't. I feel like he's one of those players that can do both. So I'm going Grillo, Redmond, and Malnati. Redmond, the only one that played here last year, finished 35th. By the way, McCarthy played here last year, finished 15th. So there you go.
I struggled a lot with Emiliano this week. I was just looking at him. I had him as a GPP play. Then I literally switched him to a fade. Then I had him back to so I don't mind it at all. The putting on Bermuda really just in general
it's everything. The guy just can't putt no matter what. Okay, 8K range. I'll start. I am gonna go with the Euro teenager, Rasmus Højgaard. I don't know if that's how you say his name. Very little PGA Tour experience, coming over here, making this event. Just finished playing the BMW at Wentworth, which is the last event he played. Missed a cut at the U.S. Open, played pretty poor there, but won the UK Championship back in August. Before that, he finished 3rd, 6th, and 2nd in a couple of other Euro events. He won in December of last year at the Fraser Bank Mauritius Open. The kid has some chops. And, we do talk a lot from time to time when you have European Tour. That didn't make sense. Talk a lot from time to time. We do talk from time to time that when you have these European Tour guys that come over and play in these events, you got to be careful because, the level of play is not typically the same. However, in this event, such a weak field event. It's one of the weakest rated fields on the PGA Tour in a while. This kid has competed in, I believe, equivalent or stronger fields on the European Tour. This is not a typical PGA Tour event where you've got these European guys coming over. And he's an aggressive young player that hits it really well, hits it far, and I think can come out here and show what he's, let him hang a little bit. So I like Rasmus at 8,800. I think you're going to have some touts talk him up a little bit that are going to be more familiar with some of the European Tour names, but I don't think he's going to get a ton of love, especially if you're playing the big $10 contest or something like that, a real public contest. I don't think he's going to get a lot of love, so he may give you a little bit of an ownership edge there. There's a number of names in here I like, but after Rasmus, I'm going to go to Adam Shank. He didn't play here last year. This is his first time playing here. Putts really well on Bermuda. Has been making a ton of cuts. He's just been consistent. He hasn't really knocked on the door in terms of a top 10, but he's been consistent. And I like what I'm seeing there. Doesn't do anything super well, decent iron player, but just a steady guy of late. And I like the value at 8,100 that I get on Shank. And he's also my cash play. I would roll with Shank and cash. So I'm going McCarthy and Shank so far in cash. My fade is going to be Maverick McNeely at 8,300 as well. Bermuda, easily his worst surface, and he's known to be, he's a decent putter in general, but Bermuda's his worst. His approach numbers and his accuracy, his fairways gain numbers over the last 24 rounds, pretty abysmal for Maverick. So at 8,300, I mean, I obviously like Shank and Hogard more. I like a couple other names in here more than him. So I think that was an easy fade for me.
All right. Well, interesting. So I do like the Hogard pick. I think that I didn't write him down, but I think that's a good pick. Shank was one of my GPP plays, so we'll go ahead and get that out of the way. So that's for all this, again, the same reasons you said. My other GPP play is actually Scott Piercy at 8,500. I like him this week. You know, he's been in decent form, had a top 20 in his last start. You look at the stats, I mean, really good ball striking, top 5 in the field, 6th in approach, 7th in opportunities gained. You know, driving accuracy checks the box. Putting has been the issue for him on Bermuda. He does not, you know, typically putt well on Bermuda, but I just like where he's at as far as his game's concerned. So Scott Piercy at 8,500, I think is a good play. My cash play, I'm surprised you didn't mention this guy because, and maybe it's just because we always talk about him, but Henrik Norlander at 8,900. I mean, the guy is, you know, he's making cuts. He checks every single box. I mean, literally, if you look across the board for Henrik Norlander, even a lot of times you'll see, okay, they check the box in approach, you know, driving accuracy, greens and regulation, but then putting, it sucks. Well, not for him. I mean, it literally is across the board, you know.
Well, he's not a great putter.
No, but he's 28th in the field and putting on Bermuda. That's not bad. I mean, he may not be a good putter in general.
Shows how terrible the field is at putting on Bermuda.
Yeah. So
because Henrik's a bad putter. Well, but by the way, Henrik will be on the show soon. He will be on the show soon, and don't sleep on him. Very funny guy, sneaky funny guy, and very honest. He'll be very honest about some stuff. Yeah.
So
the other thing about Henrik, and I didn't mention him just because I know he's popular. I was trying to go with something, but in this field, there may be 2 or 3 other players in the field that hit it more on the titties than Henrik Norlander. Like dead center every single time, incredible ball striker. Like great ball strikers that are regulars on the PGA Tour would tell you that Henrik Norlander hits it extremely solid every single time. So when plays a factor, Henrik's a good play for that.
Yeah, and I love it. So he will be my cash play, and you can play him in tournaments if you want as well too. And then Danny Willett, 8,200.
I can't believe you didn't say Willett. Remember when you say Willett all the time?
Literally, if you saw my mouth moving while you were talking, it was because I kept looking at it, and I was like, I know I'm going to say Willett. I know I'm going to say it. I don't know why it happens every single time, but I did it right that time. He's my fade. Look, we haven't seen him since the U.S. Open, which he missed the cut, but that's fine. I mean, like, look, everybody kind of missed the cut there, it seems like. And he was showing some form, but if you look at him from a stat standpoint here, it's terrible. I mean, 85th ball striking, 105th approach, 82nd in driving accuracy, 99th in greens and regulation, and doesn't putt very well on Bermuda. I think Danny Willett is a guy that you just fade this week and don't play at all. I know he's a bigger name in this range if you like the name guys, but at 8,200, don't want to play him. Do want to play Peter Monotti at 9,000. Don't want to play Danny Willett at 8,200.
Oh, Danny was your fade.
Yeah, he was my fade.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to play him. Okay. All right. Hey, before we get into this, by the way, I want to remind everybody about the Nut Hut contest, the Listener League contest. If you're in the Nut Hut as a member, be sure and get in the weekly DraftKings Listener League contest. It's free to enter. If you win, we're going to do one every single week. So there's 40 something more chances to do this. Every single week, we're going to do a Listener League contest, free to enter. And the winner of that week's tournament is going to then advance to the finals in the summer of 2021. We're going to have other ways you can advance to the finals as well. But basically, you just need to play every week. And then the winner after the finals is over at the Northern Trust. Is that right? Is it the Northern Trust we're going to do, or is this a tournament before that?
It's the Northern Trust because that has a cut.
Okay. Whatever the first playoff event that has a cut is going to be the finals. Whoever wins that is going to win a trip to either Augusta or Savannah to play golf with me and Pat, either at my home course at Champions Retreat, where they host the Augusta National Women's Amateur, or Pat's home course in Savannah at the Landings, where they host the Corn Ferry Tour event at Deer Creek. Both beautiful spots. We'll have a great time. We'll take care of your expenses. It'll be great. It's going to be a lot of fun, but you got to get in. And the more weeks you play, the more chances you have to do it. Now, the Nut Huts is popping right now. Absolutely popping. We've moved over to Discord.
Yeah, I love it.
I feel like everybody's moved over to Discord. We've not had any more problems. But I did record a YouTube video. It's like 4 minutes. If you go to our YouTube page, I recorded a YouTube video on how to sign up and then get to the Discord channel. It's very easy. If you're having problems, you're confused, or you're scared, and you just want to watch that video, it's 4 minutes. It'll make it very clear for you. But go to tourjunkies.com to start. If you haven't already, create an account, a Nut Hut account. It's $10 a month or $90 for the year. We would love for you to go ahead and do that. I do believe Nut Hut prices will be increasing in 2021 as we've taken on a little more finances with Discord and the new member back end and all that stuff. So get in now. It's a good time. And we got super sharp people. Anthony, our boy Anthony AC's in there. Tim Gaiman, not crazy Marcus Miklovich. Plenty of sharps in there. Kistler is just funny. Nita's in there. She's awesome. Bunch of sharp people in there.
Yeah.
We got our boy Josh, who won the Millionaire Makers, in there. Like, give me a break. So
it's good stuff. I mean, and people are in there all day. I'm surprised at how much time
all day.
people have.
Well, the Discord makes it easy now.
Yeah.
Discord
you just
makes
get
it
on
easy
your
to be
phone and yeah. Discord's unreal. It has been
Discord's
a
a lot
great
of fun.
change. Now, it was a little bit of pain. We had a little bit of a pain moving over, and then once it started, but I think now we've hit our stride a little bit. So
weekly caddy info as well, typically.
Yeah,
typically,
and everything is
info.
all sectioned out. Like, so if you need the caddy info, you can go into that section. You can do like I did. There's actually a Nut Hut football section, and I started commenting.
It's the Hut.
Yeah, I started commenting in the Hut about last night's game, but I thought I was in the Hut, but I was actually in the Nut Hut. So like I'm sitting there talking about some football player, and Crazy Marcus is like, "What the F are you talking about?" So then I figured out how you can delete messages and things like that, because I was like, I got to get.
How about it, huh? Technology,
I got to get that out of there before David sees it and gets on to me the next day about, like, you were talking about Will Dissly, the tight end for the Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I mean, the fact that we can share these GIFs and photos and videos so easily on Discord, and you can save them, like Crazy Marcus is making these wild GIFs and Photoshop things. I can just save them to my phone. That's great. You got the caddy info channel. You got it's just a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. It's made me get more involved in it, and it's just a fun community. And honestly, it has really driven me in the last couple of weeks. It's driven me to want to have a listener event in 2021 more than I've ever wanted to have one. Because I want all these people. I want to meet all these people and have some fun.
Such a great community. I don't know where you're going next, but I'm going to tell you to start the 7K range, because I got to go do something real quick, and I'll be right back. You gotta, your prostate acting up. You gotta go take a leak. That's acting up.
All right. Let's get to, by the way, also, if you're a member of the Nut Hut, you get 20% off everything in the shop. By the way, brand new Tour Junkies towels coming to the shop. Our old towels are great. These new ones, way better. Okay. I'm just going to tell you. Got new ones coming. Those will be hitting the shop this week. You get 20% off of everything you purchase. Brand new items, old items, don't matter. If you're a member of the Nut Hut, you get 20% off anything you buy. Those are hitting the shop this week. And if you're a Nut Hut member, you always know first if we're going to do some sort of event. And we're also working on getting Nut Hut members deeper discounts with some of our sponsors. Working on that actively. I'm excited about it. All right. Let's get to the 7K range. Of course, Pat would leave me with this. There's some hard decisions to be made up here. All right. I'm going to save my – well, all right. I'll start with this. I'll tell you my fade. I'm fading Patrick Rodgers, the guy – and I've played Patrick Rodgers a little bit this year. The price, the value for Patrick Rodgers at $7,900, when you look at his form and the key stats for him, It is just, it's not great. He missed the cut here last year. He's an awful wedge player, terrible wedge player. Accuracy off the tee, terrible. Strokes gained approach over the last 24 rounds, terrible. Basically, he's a good putter. He is a good putter, and he hits it a long way. But I think the distance is neutralized here, and I don't love that he can't hit a fairway. And if he's spraying it off the fairway and his irons are bad, wind or no wind, I don't like it. So Rodgers is my fade. My cash play is going to be, and I would play him in tournaments as well, is Sepp Straka. At 7,600, I love Sepp here. Georgia boy, good from a couple key wedge distances. Can score with the best of them. Gain strokes on Bermuda. It's not his best surface. It's actually better on bent, but gain strokes on Bermuda. And when you look at the recent form, you kind of see a little hit and miss. I mean, I think the Sanderson Farms miscut was kind of shocking. 43rd at the Shriners, not much to write home about, but, Punta Cana did okay. Safeway did pretty good. Missed a cut at the Northern Trust and Wyndham, and 66 at the PGA. All three tough fields, stronger fields. But he's got top 10 upside. Like we've seen the top 10 upside. 4th place at the Houston Open last year. 4th place at the Amex earlier this year. 8th at the Rocket Mortgage. So he's got go low ability, and he can score. And on the par fives where he can take advantage of his distance, I think he will. So I like Sepp and cash. For tournaments, 3 tournament plays in the 7K range. I'm going to play Wesley Bryan. I think this is a perfect spot for him. It's a perfect course for him. And we've seen him come off his medical and play pretty well lately. 12th at the Sanderson, 31st at the Wyndham, 21st at the Rocket Mortgage. He's always been a good putter. And the approach play has been really solid. He always finds fairways. He's gained a little distance. He's a really good wedge player. I like him at 7,800. And then I'm going to drop, and I like a few names up here. I'm going to have to skip though. I want to try to give you some lower priced guys here. All right. I'm going to go with old Duff Daddy. I'm going to go with Jason Duffner. Horrible putter. That's going to be the key. But he's one of those guys that he's so good tee to green. He checks every box, literally top 10 in this field in wedge play, greens in regulation gained, strokes gained approach, top 20 in fairways gained. Just can't putt. If he can make a few putts, also if the wind kicks up, another player who hits it out the center a lot. I like the value for Duffner at 7,100. And then finally, I'm going to go with Cameron Percy, the Australian. Played here last year, finished 48th. He's been in good form. We've seen some good finishes out of him in the last few weeks. 6th in the field in the strokes gained approach, 14th in greens and reg. Decent wedge player, 8th at the Corrales, 23rd at the Safeway. I think Percy's going to give you some salary relief at 7K, and I don't think he'll be all that popular. So that's the 7K range. Oh, you got the towels? Look at those towels. Show them the logo on that though. And now these are tour towels, so they're full size. They're like They're like bigger towels. These are not full on bath towels, but
these things are. So that's the black one.
If you're a real player, you use these towels.
This is the white one.
Yeah, that's sweet.
Look,
and the embroidery on those bad boys are fire.
And look, just like. It's got some
that thickness. Gets in the grooves real well. That right there hits those grooves. Very satisfying. That's a satisfying towel.
Wow, I heard you mention Jason Duffner. So I was thinking about putting him down. I was scared. I have to admit, I was scared to talk about him, and so I didn't. And
what?
Now I'm kind of regretting that a little bit.
Hey, while you're doing this, I'm gonna go get some more ice so I can pour me another drink.
All right, so I'm going to start. I don't even know who you picked, so I'm just going to go with the guys that I like here. So I like some Scott Stallings at 7,800. I think he is a really good tournament play. I mean, you look at the stats for him, checks the box in ball striking, approach, also opportunities gained, and greens in regulation. Decent to not so decent putter on Bermuda, but still, I think this is a good week for him. He actually played, I believe he played here last year. Could be wrong. Yeah, he played here last year, had a T18 finish. So I think Scott Stallings makes for some sense. And you look, does that even like makes for some sense?
Makes for some sense. He makes for some sense.
He makes for some sense. He did miss the cut in his last event at the Shriners, but finished T6 at Sanderson Farms. So I like Scott Stallings. Another guy I'm going back to the well on, Tyler Mccumber, down here at the bottom at 7,300. Even though he missed the cut in his last event, I still like where the form is. You know, you look at the stats for him, checks the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained. We know he's a birdie maker. I mean, that guy's as aggressive as they come. He may be short in stature, but it's not like he can't get it out there. You know, the guy can hit it.
Who are you talking about?
Tyler Mccumber.
Dude, Tyler's a bomber.
Yeah, I love Tyler.
Is he that short? He's like our height, my height.
He's kind of small. He's smallish in stature. Dude, you can't come from Mark Mccumber being your dad and like.
Dude, we interviewed Tyler in person at the web.com event. I swear to you, he's probably my height.
No, that is total BS.
I'm going right now to PGA Tour to see what they say.
He's no way he's over 6 feet tall.
I didn't say I'm not over 6 feet tall. There's his dad, Mark.
Anyway, I like Mark Mccumber. The other guy that I like down here in the 7,100 area,
5'10". He's 2 inches shorter than me.
He's not a big guy. Is Doug Gim at 7,100? Another guy that checks the box.
Maggot. Doug Gim.
Look, we're trying to find some plays here for the folks. I mean,
whoa, that was really strong.
Look, he did finish.
The boy just made a very strong pour.
Okay. Gim was 23rd at the Sanderson Farms. Looking at the stats, checks the box in ball striking, approach, opportunities gained, driving accuracy, greens and regulation. I like some Doug Gim. I think he makes for a great tournament play, low owned. As a matter of fact, I think he could be a decent bet. By the way, what was that number I saw on him? Anyway,
we've already spent way too much time on Doug Gim.
That's it. That's all I've got there for him. My cash play is Stuart Sink. Sink is being Sink. He's playing well. This is another short course. He didn't have to do anything. He sucked
after he kicked his son off the bag, though. He was doing so good, and then he got Kip Henley back on the bag, and he lost 10 strokes with his irons that week.
That
literally
is
10. Literally 10. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not. You know how some people like throw in he lost 10, just put 10 the number in there just for kicks and giggles. No, he literally lost 10 strokes.
When did he kick him off? Because he finished. He followed up the win, and he had a 12th place finish at Sanderson Farms. Was his son on the bag for that one?
Yeah, are you kidding? Was his son on the back for that? That's all the freaking broadcast shoved down our throat the entire day. I was remember I had who's the guy he cucked from me I had that week?
When he won was when they shoved it down our throats. I'm talking about the Sanderson Farms with the
he was on that one too. He let his son go one more. He was on that one too. Yeah. And then he kicked him off, and he lost 10 shots on approach for Kip Henley. Like Kip was like giving him, I don't know what, like in the weeks he was off, he forgot how to add or something.
Either way, in this 7K range, I think Sink is a pretty safe cash play. I mean, as safe as they get for a 7K range guy. My fade is going to be a guy that you mentioned early in the podcast of having a great round here. That is Russell Knox. Yes.
That's your fade, huh?
Yep. Russell Knox is going to be in fade at 7,600. I think the ownership's going to be a little bit high on him for this range. He's missed his last 2 cuts. You look at the stats for him; they're decent, but he's 104th in the field in putting on Bermuda. He's 72nd in greens and regulation, 55th in fairways gained. So I think Russell Knox could be a little bit of a trap play this week. So he will be my fade in this category. I didn't hear any of what your plays were. Was there anything that I said that you had agreement with, or were you totally different? Which I kind of hope you were totally different. But
I kind of like the Scott Stallings play. I'm a little I can't decide if I like Sink or not at 79. I hate your Doug Gim play. Let me ask you this. So we've learned a lot about PointsBet lately, which is a new place that you can bet on. It's a legal sports book in New Jersey, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, very soon to be Colorado, and very soon to be Tennessee. If you're in those states and you've not signed up for PointsBet, we would encourage you to. And you can do so using one of our promo codes. We have TJ250, which gets you a free $250 bonus when you deposit up to 250. So TJ250 or TJ Bet. Check that one out. That gives you a couple of free bets up to like $1,000. I think it's pretty sweet. So TJ Bet or TJ250 are your promo codes for PointsBet. I was just about to ask you because PointsBet hasn't set their points betting numbers yet. They've got outrights up and top 10s and top 20s. All that's up. But Doug Gim, I wonder what his points bet number would be, because I would take the over basically. I mean, unless they give me like 120, I would take the over on Doug Gim. So PointsBet does this thing where they do all the traditional betting stuff, but they also will set an over number and an under number for a player. And let's just say for Doug Gim, it is 65th place, right? Let's say that's the over number. If I bet the over on that, and let's say I bet $5, that's my stake. If he finishes 75th, 10 spots worse than what the 65 number was, you multiply 10 times 5, I win $50 because I said he would go over. If he finishes 45th place and I pick the over, then it's 20 spots better times my 5, and I have to pay 100 to PointsBet. Very interesting game. But I wonder what his number will be come tomorrow afternoon, and I would take the over because I think Doug Gim is a terrible play here.
Okay, that's whatever. I'm going to take a lot of risks this week.
Anyway, PointsBet's a lot of fun.
It is. That's a good game.
Check out tourjunkies.com. I wrote an article about how to play, kind of an intro to it. I'm really interested in it. And so if you want to just get a quick read about it, you can go to the blog and check out my PointsBet article. So, all right, 6K range. We ready for that?
Yeah.
Few names in here I like. I like your boy Lebioda, your doppelganger. Hank finished third here last year, and I think a lot of people will probably be on to him. Finished third. He's not a great putter. That's his problem. He's gotten a putting lesson he's gotten some new putting insight lately, which I hope pays off. And he's been doing okay. 44th at the Sanderson, 21st at the Corrales, 26th at the 3M. That's all good. So he comes now to a place he's comfortable. He finished third last year. Like, I think that's a promising thing for young Hank. So I like that. I like, this is weird to say. Okay. I don't say this often. I like David Hearn at $6,700. 33rd at Corrales, 14th at Safeway. Always hits fairways. He's another, guy who, if we were interviewing him, I'd be like, oh God, this is about to be the most boring interview in the world. Hits a lot of fairways. Decent wedge player. Finished 8th here last year, so he's got a little bit of experience. I kind of looked at some guys down here that have played this event and played it well. I love some Chris Baker at 6,500. Recently found out he's not European. He's from like Indiana or something. But he checks a lot of boxes. He is 8th in strokes gained approach, 11th in greens and reg, 10th in fairways gained, checks a box in the wedge distances, all of the above. He's like top 10 or top 20 in the last 24 rounds. So played here last year, finished 31st. Michael Gligic. Gligic really ticked me off last time I played him, but I think Gligic is an interesting play. He's been solid, and he played here last year as well, finished like 58th or something. And then finally, a guy I don't know that I've ever played at $6,400, finished 11th here last year. He was one of the names I told you shot a 64 here last year, and that's Josh Teeter. Very accurate player, good wedge player, really good wedge player, actually. And best putting surface is Bermuda. So I'll go with Josh Teeter at 64. I got 5 names down here.
Wow. I'm just going to give you, well, I got a few because you already mentioned a couple of them, but Baker is one of them. So for the same reasons, I do like Baker, and Lebiota. Lebiota is another one that I liked as well. But I'll give you two more that I like besides those two. I like Bo Hostler at 6,900. Now I never seem to get this guy right, but the guy's
I don't think you've ever gotten Bo Hostler right.
I've never gotten him right, but he's made his.
Do you only like Bo Hostler because he wears one of those oversized visors that makes you think he's like young Freddie Couples? Are you like lusting over Bo because as he's walking down the fairway and you see that big old visor coming off his front head, you think, oh my God, look at Freddie. Look at Freddie.
Okay. Let's not get into that because Hostler isn't even close to having the amount of swag that Freddie Couples has. Hostler, Bo. He's not even like. Look, don't even get him in the same realm as Freddie Couples. So let's get that out of the way. That makes me mad just even thinking about it. But he's been playing pretty well. He's made his last 4 cuts. You know, I mean, the stats aren't great, but I mean, he's has some good finishes. So I like
back in the 90s, like kids would lay their heads down to go to sleep at night and they'd look up at their ceiling, and most kids, teenage boys maybe, would have a poster. Remember when posters were a thing? You go to like Spencer's and you get a really raunchy poster. Most posters were like Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, or like Pamela Anderson from like Baywatch or Barbed Wire. Remember those days? You'd have one of those. One of my buddies.
I know where you're going because this is totally different.
You would have a Fred Couples. Pat would be looking up at Fred Couples. Oh, Freddie.
No.
Freddie'd be looking down on him with his big old visor.
You're not comparing this right.
Ashworth shirt on, and Pat, you probably slept in an Ashworth polo.
People would have.
You slept in an Ashworth polo.
This is not a good comparison. People had.
You're not denying it. You still haven't denied it.
I have not slept in an Ashworth polo. Well, I may have, but I can't remember. Anyway, yes. But people are not like, I still had the posters of the Kelly Kapowskis and the Pamela Andersons, but it's like you may have had a Bo Jackson or a Michael Jordan or something like that. You know, that might Herschel Walker. I can't believe I mentioned Bo Jackson before Herschel Walker. But anyway, poster. But here's the thing. Couples was just, I mean, he had the it factor when he was, in his heyday. And you know what he did? By the way, you know what he did? He did this all the time.
Stop it.
He did the shoulder thing that I do all the time. Go watch the tape. He does it all the time.
Okay, but a lot of golfers do that before they're about to hit a shot. Like Patrick Reed does that. And they'll do that kind of tucking their sleeves under
Couples will like walk down the fairway and he'd be like,
oh my God, that's where you got it from. That makes it even worse. You cannot convince me otherwise that you didn't have a poster of Fred Couples up on your ceiling.
Anyway, I didn't have a poster of Fred Couples, but I probably would have if they made them. I don't think that they made golf posters back in the day like that until Tiger came along.
Fun fact, very, very quick story. My dad pulled Fred Couples over. Have I ever told you that story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Pulled Fred Couples over.
I think you've already told it on the pod, but I could be wrong.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll stop there.
Last play, I'll go with Chase Seifert at 6,600. Did miss the cut at the Shriners, but had a T17 at the Sanderson Farms, 41st at Corrales. You look at his stats. Where are his stats? Where are your stats, Chase Seifert? Not bad. 31st in ball striking, 30th on approach. Driving accuracy, greens and regulation checks the box, and putting on Bermuda as well. So Chase Seifert at 6,600, last play in that range.
Did you know? Do you have any Fred Couples cards?
What do you mean, like a sports card, like a baseball card?
Yeah.
No.
Are those a thing?
Do they make golf cards? Like
baseball they make golf cards. I have a couple from like way back in the day.
I don't, but what is your, like,
I think I have a Luke Donald card.
I think this is interesting. What baseball card have you owned is like your most coveted
Ken
baseball? Like, do you still have it?
Yeah, I have like 60 King Griffey Jr. cards, all in hard cases. Yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Mine is like an 86, 85 or 86 Mark McGuire.
Ooh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
I have a
People are
signed
into
Bob Feller. I have a signed Bob Feller 1949 Bowman card.
People are into the cards these days. I'm
They
seeing
are.
that
They've
more and
come
more
back.
on social. By the way, speaking of baseball cards, one of the first baseball cards that I got was, did you know that there was a pitcher in the major leagues named Pat Perry?
No.
There is.
No.
I think he
All
played
right.
for the Reds. Anyway, we're going off the rails here.
Yeah,
but
it's already been too long.
This is the Bermuda Championship. So.
Yeah, let's get into some sportsbook picks here. As I'm looking at it right now, so here on Monday, and obviously DB's Big Balls betting card will be up on the website starting on Tuesday with an update on Wednesday. Pat's Not That Anybody Cares betting card will be tweeted out,
which has
although
become
it's
a
been
thing.
very hot. It's been very hot.
It's become a thing for some reason, and we didn't win anything last week, but
not last week.
We were close. There were some close ones.
But when the rare thing is that you didn't win betting golf outrights, you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're doing something right. So let's look at some outrights, and I have two top 10 numbers that I'm kind of looking at. I'm not gonna. I do like. This is kind of tough. It's long shot season, but there's a lot of really attractive names in like the 50s, like the 40s and 50s. Luke List interests me at 45 to 1. About as short, let me tell you this, about as short as I would go is McCarthy at 35. 35 to 1. I like McCarthy on DK.
See, I would go Norlander at 35 to 1.
I don't mind that either, actually. I don't mind that either. Luke List at 45. I kind of like. Luke's going to come down to putting. Wesley Bryan is at 60 to 1 on PointsBet, which I like that number. Sepp Straka is at 50 to 1 on PointsBet. I like that a lot. I think win equity there is good. Our boy Peter Malnati is at 55 to 1 on DK. I mean, dude, if long shot season is not defined by betting Peter Malnati, the biggest dork on the whole of the PGA Tour, the guy that a couple weeks ago when he was awaiting on whether or not he'd be in a playoff wasn't warming up on the range, but he was dad shaming all of us by like hanging out with his newborn and his wife, like sitting down having a picnic while the tournament was finishing up behind him. That Peter Malnati, if long shot season is not defined by betting that guy, then I don't want any part of it. See, I want to lay a full unit on Peter Malnati.
See, you must have been looking at that one way earlier than I did, because I pulled it up right before the show, and that's already been put down to 45 to 1.
Oh, I can't do that.
So can you do it at 45 to 1?
I'll do a half unit.
I liked it. I like it at 45 to 1. I like it.
I mean, I like it better at 55 to 1. It was 55 to 1 earlier. Is that the best number? Is PointsBet any better?
Oh wait, you're on PointsBet or you're on DraftKings?
He was 55 to 1 on. Oh God, he's 40 to 1 on PointsBet.
Yeah, he's 45. He's 45.
Who is betting down Peter Malnati? What the is going on?
I don't know. This is crazy town Bermuda.
I'm starting to think he's gonna be chalky. Actually, we talked about him in DFS. I'm starting to think he might be more chalky than we think, which is absolutely bananas.
Anyway,
getting into okay. Your boy Stallings at 50 to 1 is interesting. Justin Suh at 55 to 1 is interesting. Scott Piercy at 50 to 1. You mentioned him on the show. Do you bet he's on PointsBet at 50 to 1? Do you bet you were ashamed to talk about this guy in DFS, but Duffner at 80 to 1.
I like it.
Here's the thing about Duffner. In the event he makes a few putts, like in the event he can make some putts, he could win this thing by like 6 shots.
He really could.
Because his ball striking is so good.
It's so good. I agree. And that's
how bad his putting is.
His putting is unbelievably terrible.
My face is going to be numb by the end of TJ After Dark. I just want to let you know.
Because of this big drink you just poured?
Yeah. All right, getting into the longer numbers. I think Lebiota on PointsBet at 100-1 is automatic, considering his form, his history here, checks boxes. I think that's very good. Love Chris Baker. There's a contingent at 125-1. Let's see. No, actually, they're bigger than that on PointsBet. Dang. So Chris Baker is 200-1 on PointsBet and 125-1 on DK. Now, you can look at that one of two ways and go, man, PointsBet has him way, underpriced, or DK has him way overpriced. But I think he's actually underpriced. So 200-1 with Chris Baker, I like. Michael Gligic is another one. 125-1 on DK, 150-1 on PointsBet. And then Josh Teeter, 125-1 on DK and 150 on PointsBet. So PointsBet, the longer numbers, a little more generous here. And I like all three of those guys. We talked about all three of them in the DFS side. Baker, Gligic, and Teeter. All three played here last year. Teeter finished 11th. All three made the cut last year. Checking some boxes. Gligic's probably shown the better form of the three of late, but all three checking boxes.
Yeah, I don't mind any of those. I will say I do like some Max Homa going a little shorter. Max Homa at 90-1 on DraftKings. I think that's a good play.
We didn't talk about Homa in DFS. It's a big. It feels like a big name for this event to be priced as bad as he is. And obviously the form's not good. And there's the rumor. Well, it's probably not a rumor. I mean, he's a great dude. Just shot the course record in Ponte Vedra this past weekend with the No Laying Up boys.
I saw that,
which is great. That's great. I mean, that's great. That means he's playing well. He went low. I don't know that that's worth putting a whole lot of stock into, but I think Homa is an interesting name. We know he has win equity.
Here's another interesting name besides Homa, and I agree with that. Hudson Swafford.
Mm-hmm.
Did he not just win?
He did, and we bet him at 150-1.
Did he not just get us a first round leader bet also?
At 100-1, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We were 250-1 on Hudson Swafford.
He's 125-1.
Well, not exactly.
125-1 on the DraftKings sportsbook. Now he's 90-1.
He came out and sucked after that, but
no, he did. But he's 90-1 at PointsBet, so there's a big difference there.
But here's another coastal course like Corrales.
I mean, it's the same kind of course. It's a guy that should play well here. I mean, why do you get off of a guy? I know he missed his last two cuts, but he also just won just a few weeks ago. I think that's pretty good value for a guy who just won recently at 125-1 on DraftKings. I think that's, I'm willing to, look, Brendan Todd did it last year. He won at Bermuda, and then he won, I think, the next week, in Mexico or something or whatever. So it's not like it can't happen. So at 125-1, I like some Swafford there. I think that's a good play.
Can I tell you my my tall my Pat's order at Starbucks bet of the week. The tall light roast, leave room for cream. Starbucks order. But probably cost you about $4.
You know that you got that from my one order with this past week, and that's not like what I always order, but it just happened to be that day I was wanting the light roast.
And anyway, I'm not even going to go – you went grande. I'm not even going grande. I'm going tall, which is the shorter one, which is the dumbest thing ever. But it's the shorter one, the cheaper one, $4 maybe. I normally don't do this, but there are two names at massive numbers on DraftKings. I'm talking massive numbers. And if you just put $4 on each of them and kissed it goodbye, like you were drinking a cup of coffee and crapping it out 30 minutes later. I don't drink coffee. I rent it. So if you're just crapping it out, Matt Every at 600-1. 600-1. A guy who's won Bay Hill a couple times. Like, he's a train wreck. But 600-1. Is he still 600 to 1?
He's still 600 to 1. Yeah.
Those
odds aren't going to change.
That is massive.
Nobody's looking at those guys. Those are not the odds that are going to change. It's the people. It's the Peter Malnati's of the world that are going to change.
I mean, Matt Every is known to just come out of nowhere and have a week. That's just he's literally stayed on the PGA Tour because of that. What if this is the week and you miss it at 600 to 1? The other name is a much lesser known name, but he's a Korn Ferry player, Korn Ferry Tour player. And let me pull this up before I get into this. He was on my radar last year, and he just didn't really pan out. But he won in August on the Korn Ferry Tour, and he is 400 to 1, and his name is Seth Reeves. He's 400 to 1 on DK. He won in August. He followed that up in late August at the Korn Ferry Tour Championship and finished third. So this guy has upside. Now he misses a lot of cuts.
Okay,
but he has upside.
That one. I'm contradicting myself now because are you looking at DraftKings?
Yeah,
that's no longer. It's 225 to 1. Somebody figured him out.
Damn it.
Somebody figured him out.
He's 250 to 1 on PointsBet, so you get a little extra. Golly, he was 400 to 1 this afternoon. 250 to 1 right now.
This is why you need to look at odds, by the way, on Monday and look through these things because they get it. I mean, they get it wrong, especially with some of these. I mean,
yeah. Seth Reeves is his name. All right, well, that's enough of that. That took incredibly.
We need to get into the putter throw because
we're already too far gone into this. All right. It's time for the final segment of the night, the putter throw. And this has everything to do with me continuing to hate Bryson DeChambeau. Now, we have been blocked by Bryson on Instagram on the Tour Junkies account, but thankfully my personal account, I can go and check him out every now and then. The only reason I even use my personal account is to go stalk what Bryson's doing. And you can call me a loser because I can't stand the guy and I still want to stalk him. It is what it is. It's content for me. I need to preface this with two things, because if I don't, you people are out there are going to be like, so let me preface by saying this. Bryson is great for the game. Okay. Great for the game on a lot of levels. Number one, golf needs a villain. Absolutely. Patrick Reed can't be on an island. We need more Bryson. Okay. Golf needs a villain. He makes it interesting. It's fun I'm 100% on board with guys not being totally vanilla and like, just robots out there. Great for the game. Great for guys like me and Pat who have a business around PGA Tour content. Fantastic. I'm excited that he's in the game so that I can do things like this. So, number one, I'll say that. Okay. Number two, I have a lot of respect for him. I respect his ability, his talent, what he has said he was going to do pre-quarantine, what he did, how he did it, how he's doing it, and how he's going to keep doing it. I respect it. Like, totally respect it. I don't think he's breaking any rules. I don't think he's doing anything he shouldn't. None of that. And as a result, I'm not saying, okay, please hear me on this, because all the betting and, golf betting and like stat nerds and analytical nerds, diehards out there will be like, you're just a crappy bettor because you let your feelings get in the way of, ROI or whatever. I'm not saying that I won't play him. I won't bet on him. I've hated him since day one. Now my hate has grown exponentially. I have never been a Bryson fan ever since day one. It started in college with his stupid hat and his single length irons. I just didn't like it. I just was like, nope, I'm out on this guy. And then, it just kind of grew from there. But despite that, I still played him and I still bet him. In fact, I was reminiscing earlier with Pat. We talked him up and hit him at 80 to 1 at the Northern Trust 2 years ago. 80 to 1. Not many people can say they hit Bryson at 80 to 1. Okay. And you probably never will again. But anyway, I will continue to play him if I think it's worth it, if the value's there, and I will bet him. Maybe. I'm not going to bet him as the top 3 player in the field because I don't bet anybody in the top 3 in golf. So I'm not saying if that's something you do or want to do, you shouldn't just because you don't like him. So I just want to get those out of the way before everybody goes and gets all bananas on me. As a person, he is a total weenie. I can't freaking stand him. I mean, I can't.
Weenie. I didn't know weenie was about to come out of your mouth. I thought something else was, but weenie.
Okay, here's
I mean,
the
everybody like douchebag is used too much though for him because
he's
like,
that.
Yeah, but it's too like like with DeChambeau douchebag, like it's overused. You got to come like so weenie. To me, weenie is good. I like that. Go with weenie and let's go from there.
If our Australian friend Michael Caridi is listening, he's a sook, which is an Australian word. It's a bad word. He's a sook. Okay, but he's a weenie. It really, really started. Okay, well, let me tell you where it started to kind of like if you're on a roller coaster of hatred, right? And you're going in that first hill, and it's like click, 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 click. You know, like you're getting to that click, and I can't really click that well because I'm starting to slur. But as you click and you're like nearing the top, for me with Bryson, it was when I started when he started getting interviewed in the press room at every PGA Tour event he was in. Because I watch every press conference that the PGA Tour puts on every week. And I would listen to his answers. And the way he talked to people, the way he talked to the press, the way he talked about and around tour players and about how smart he was compared to everybody else and how he had figured this out and blah, blah. And I don't care if it's all true, but just the arrogance and the pompous attitude that he has and the way he comes off, it started like that was me. I'm like clicking towards Bryson hatred. You guys see how Pat's just completely checked out right now.
Well, because I've already heard this before.
Then it kind of came. It got further legs when a couple people that we know close to the tour, a couple people we know that have done things with Bryson behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that everybody that says something is telling the truth, okay? But when a handful of people who we know and trust tell us things about how a guy behaves when the lights and the cameras aren't on, when that comes back to me, after I already have this feeling, it further gets in there, right? So that happened. Now I'm starting to I'm like getting to the top of the roller coaster of Bryson hatred, and I'm about to go full bore down. The moment for me where I went full bore, this guy's a weenie, is the quarantine 14-minute IGTV video that he had produced that I will never get back from my life. But at the same time, I wanted to watch it because I just sit there and go, what a freaking butt muncher. I can't stand this guy. The video, if you didn't see it, was, and I'm not going to get into it, fully documented his quest for bulk and his protein shakes and his weightlifting and what he did during quarantine and, shots of him driving in his car. And it was the most.
You had to stop yourself from saying a word you didn't want to say right there, too.
I don't want to get canceled. It was the worst. Okay. It was the teetotal worst video. And I'm thinking this guy has no self-awareness, no, just none. So then this week, then like it continues, we're doing loops now when he's like, I want to live to be 100. I think I could live to be 130. I could live to be 140. I'm a science guy. Like, oh, give me a damn break, man. Like it was all that mess. And then it was the US Open after effects. Anyway, so he makes it very known that he's going to leave the US Open, take a break till the Masters, gain another 15 pounds, and he wants to get his ball speed up to 215 miles an hour by Augusta. Well, this week, let me switch to my personal account because I can't. He's going to block us. This week on Instagram, if you have not seen this, you cannot tell me that you don't think this is lame. And that is, he posts this video of him hopping off a private jet. It's got Kings of Leon from like 10 years ago playing. He hops out of this private jet in a t-shirt that clashes with his shoes, that also clashes with the color Bentley that he's got. He hops off the private jet, fresh off the U.S. Open victory, ready to grind for the Masters, into his burnt orange Bentley with a slow pan shot of the hood of the Bentley and around the side of the Bentley as he gets in. And then it kicks over, fades into an overhead shot. He's from the top of the sunroof. In the sunroof, he's driving down the road, cruising with this dumb grin on his face, trying not to look at the camera. And it's music's playing in the background. He's like vibing. And then it's just like fades to inspire to be better, journey to 215 miles an hour. Now that is preceded by another video that is even more the word that I stopped myself from saying a few minutes ago, where the drone shot starts from above his roof line of his massive house, pans down, you see the whole massive house roof line, and then it happens to like flow into his garage gym, right, with all his weight equipment, and he just pops out the door. He just, like Mr. Rogers, he just like pops out the door, and he goes, "Hey guys, I want to say thank you for the 500,000 Instagram followers and fans that have supported me throughout this, blah, blah, blah." And he's got this really lame song in the background with some chick talking about how like, it's something dumb. And it's like, then it cuts away. This is the worst part. It cuts away and he jumps on the machine. And I thought he was about to do the number one most homoerotic. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I thought he was about to do the number one most homoerotic machine in all of gym machine hood, and that is the yes no machine. Well, yeah,
the yes no machine.
The yes no machine.
I've
where
never
you open
heard
and close.
it called that. Yeah.
It's the yes no machine.
But he does.
I thought he was gonna pound down some reps on the yes no machine, but no. He went for the ab spinning, the spinning one, the rotating one, as the drone pans out from the garage. And these two videos are so freaking annoying. I want to throw my phone at this guy. I am so sick of him. I am so sick. He literally has a neighbor who's like is good at video stuff, following his ass around all the time, videoing this stuff and editing it and then putting it together. And then he posts it. It is the worst. I can't.
Look, now I don't have
the same time. I really want you to do a spoof of it. I really want you to. I know you want me to, but it'll be funnier if you do. If I do, people will just be like, "Oh, DB, here he is hating on Bryson again. He's just jealous." I'm not jealous. I would rather be me right now. Let me just say that I would rather be me than Bryson. I don't care how much money he has. I don't care how good he is at golf. I don't care. I would rather have my life than Bryson's life right now. I mean that 100%. I'm being sincere. That is not the wild league talking.
I actually would agree with that. I would
rather be here with you in your Savannah Bananas t-shirt doing a podcast on the Bermuda Championship than be Bryson DeChambeau.
I think I agree with that actually. Because look, the guy just has the personality is ridiculous. Like, if you could just show some personality and some like something people can relate to, because here's the thing, that's where, as a golfer or whatever, that's where you become a popular player, or you become, not that he cares that he's popular, but if you have something that people can relate to, then
who's relating to anything he does?
Then they make a connection. That's where the connection's made. There is nothing about Bryson DeChambeau that almost anybody can relate to. Nothing. Not at all. Like, and it's just, and look, I get it. And I am like you. I totally respect everything he's done. He is a hard worker. He set a goal and he accomplished those goals. That's something that should be looked up to. That's something that should be,
I prefaced all that. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, that's, again, like you said, I think that's something that's important. but he just has nothing that anybody can relate to. Not even one thing has he like I've been like, man, I actually like that about Bryson. Like you never think that. You don't even think that. But by the way, I think I could do a pretty good video. Like you could pan in, like I could get
God.
if somebody could do something, they would pan in like the
Anybody listening in the Savannah area that can fly a drone, like knows what they're doing.
Like the drone could pan into my garage that has shit everywhere. But I do have like a little section which during COVID I created a little home gym, but it's like terrible. But like you could like go in and to the home gym, and I'm like running on my treadmill, and then right beside it is my weight bench with my like little shitty weights. Like you could do all of that. Like that would be so freaking funny.
I would pay for a yes/no machine. I would go on Craigslist or eBay and buy a yes/no machine. If you would do it, I would buy it. I would buy it.
I would do it, but I mean, again,
I would go to a Planet Fitness that lost its deal because of COVID or something, and like say,
we
can
have
I buy
a
that yes/no machine off you?
Near my office, but they're still like operating, and I am not going in there with COVID and all that. There's no, I'm not risking that.
Ah, God, I can't stand the guy so much. I just can't.
And you know what? I feel like there's so much talk about him with Augusta National and dominating the place and all that kind of stuff that it could be one of the more colossal failures of a guy in a tournament than we've ever seen, because his ownership is going to be so ridiculously high at the Masters that he could like all things could go wrong for him that week.
All right.
You just never know.
I got a text from a friend of ours, who's a member at Augusta Country Club. As you know, growing up at Augusta Country Club, there are a lot of members that are members at Augusta Country Club and the Augusta National.
I do know that.
He texted me yesterday and says, a friend just texted me this. So this is coming from way down. Who knows? Hit some balls this afternoon and overheard member's name, who's a member at both, talking about DeChambeau playing Augusta last week. Evidently, he cleared the bunkers on number 2, which, like, that's easy. Drove the green on 3, also easy. Cleared the bunkers on 5. Drove it onto 14 fairway successfully from 13 tee. And cleared the bunkers, so went over the bunkers on 18 to approach 18.
It's not in the heat of the moment. It's not in the – like, look, he's going to be the highest owned player that week by far. And what side of that do you want to be on? To me, if you're the smart bettor, you play on the other side of that as far as DFS is concerned, but I could be wrong.
This is enough about him. This is too long of a podcast for an hour and a half for the Bermuda.
We did this for the Bermuda Championship. We started an hour and a half ago. Okay, anyway.
Jeez. So I would like to apologize to anyone still listening to this.
Well, we didn't get to talk. You didn't get any of us. You didn't even get an hour of us last week, so you get more this week. So
yeah, there you go. All right, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with the Tour Junkies. We appreciate it. We're going to go record TJ After Dark, presented by DraftKings, over on their YouTube channel. That should be interesting, as my face is numb, and I'm not sure how it's going to go down, but we're going to go do that. That's about a 20-minute show you can watch for free on DraftKings YouTube channel every week. Give it a thumbs up and comment how awesome we are. It makes us look good. It's all about making us look good. We need help looking good. Bryson needs no help looking good.
I need help.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. May your screens be green. We appreciate it. See ya.
Out.